Hey, Foot Clan, before we start today's show, I got to remind you about Grave Before Shave. Fellas, do you care about your beard? Then freaking take care of it. Grave Before Shave has everything you need, literally everything. They have 9 different scents of beard oils and balms. Condition that thing, get it glistening in the sun, keep it super healthy. Here's a great part. They have free U.S. shipping, and your order goes out the next business day, so you know that you're getting it quick. Use our code BALLERS at Grave Before Shave, and you can save 10%.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the FantasyJocks.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
Back again. Oh! There's a, 290th time for everything.
Jason was air driving through the imaginary roads.
Whoa.
Is this how you air drive?
That's not driving. That's like...
This is the quintessential white man dancing. That's
Yeah.
right here.
I imagine you air driving it like an ATV.
So I got the big steering wheel that's down on the bottom.
ATV does not have a big
I'm
wheel.
thinking of like a
You're thinking
giant
of a
RV.
semi.
I don't know. How's fantasy football going?
Oh, fantasy football is doing very well. Very
Oh,
well. Welcome
all
to
right.
the show. The Fantasy Footballers back again Thursday, October 6th. That was a prime example of why I need a vacation. I need to get away from that sort of dancing.
Oh, man. These shows, when you're not here to rein us in, they're going to be dangerous.
They're going to be very dangerous.
Oh,
I'm
no.
going to be...
I'll be the taskmaster, my friend.
I was going to say, when we get feedback, I'm going to be much more appreciated.
Or will you?
Or will I? They'll be like, yeah, woo, it was
Best shows ever.
There are no rules.
There are no rules. Anarchy. We're happy to be back. Very excited about today's show. Have my favorite segment of the week on here, the starts of the week. We've got our matchups. We're going to go through the first 6 matchups of the week, talk about the fantasy players involved and the decisions you have to make as a fantasy owner. And we got a good quick question. Going to catch you up on a good amount of news and notes. And then obviously tomorrow we'll give you kind of the final rundown of injuries, practice reports, everything going on so you can make last-minute waiver wire decisions, whatever it is. So let's jump right into it as we always do. I've got another quick question for you guys. On the season, this is a question about what team. What team has a wide receiver trio with a snap percentage, all of them, at 96% or higher?
So they are running
96%.
They're running 3 wide basically every single play.
Correct.
Ooh.
My guess would be the Packers.
Okay.
And
I mean, they don't run 3 wide every time, but I have to believe that all 3 of those guys are in the 90s.
And
I don't know about 96.
I'm gonna go with the Giants. With
Mike has
Ooh,
nailed
that
it.
is a
It
yes.
is-
yeah.
It is the Giants. Victor Cruz, Sterling Shepard, Odell Beckham Jr.,
nice.
all at 96% or above. So, yeah, they run 3 wide all the time, or 96% of the time.
And that's how Sterling Shepard is an actual viable fantasy asset right now.
I actually have Sterling Shepard very high this week.
Yeah.
I have all those wide
Yeah, this
receivers.
is a good week to start those Giants.
All right, bonus question, though, guys. All right,
Bonus.
which 2 wide receivers from the same team are both top 5 in snap percentage among all wide receivers? So you've got a tandem, a pair of teammates that are both top 5 in snap percentage among all wideouts.
If it does not include games missed, I would lean towards the Jets with Decker and Marshall, but
No, Marshall got hurt. He missed.
that's right.
He missed some
and
snaps there.
Decker missed last game.
Yeah.
Well, that shouldn't affect the percentage. But
Well,
the
you're
Brandon
looking, you're
Marshall
looking at top 5. You don't finish top 5 by missing a game. So
I'm trying to narrow it down as quick as I can. No, I mean my guess was this is wrong, but I'm gonna go with the Patriots with Hogan and Edelman.
Hogan got shut out last week. You see that?
With it, yeah, but
I mean, from a production
sure,
standpoint.
Jacoby Brissett.
yeah, it's his quarterback shut him out.
Yeah,
His
past
quarterback
couple
had
of weeks.
His
All right,
quarterback
the
had a
answer
busted thumb.
is the Miami Dolphins.
Oh, okay.
You have Kenny Stills and Jarvis Landry. Landry's at 96%. Kenny Stills, 99.
Yeah, he's
99%.
he's playing a lot.
He's playing a lot. He's doing a little.
That's
All right,
my
he's kind
motto.
of bouncing back and forth. He's a hard guy to stat. We did all of our rankings. You can find them on the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. And, you look at Stills, and it's like, okay, I've got 1 for 75 and a touchdown, but then the game before he had 5 catches. But
Stills is last year's Ted Ginn.
Yeah, you might. That's a pretty good comparison.
He's always out there, but you never know.
Yeah, I mean, he's the deep threat. And so, like a Wallace or a Djax or a Ginn, there's always the chance that he can turn a 0 game into a top 15 performance on one play. So follow us on Twitter at the FF Ballers. Connect with us at jointhefoot.com, our fantasy community. Let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
Well, I'm wet. Carson Palmer out for Thursday. I bet that he would be active. I was incorrect. It happens occasionally. I mean, rarely. But it does happen. So my punishment is Drew Stanton at quarterback.
Yeah, that's much worse than the cup of water. Same punishment that's going to have to go to Larry Fitzgerald, Michael Floyd, and John Brown.
Oh, they're not getting a cup. They're getting a full bucket of ice-cold
water. Looking back to when Drew Stanton played, because we do still have to, there's going to be people that have to start Arizona Cardinals. The wide receiver that was the most affected by Drew Stanton playing was Michael Floyd, which makes sense that down the field jump ball
take
type
less chances.
Exactly. So that's the guy I would certainly not start this week.
Yeah, you have to temper expectations for everybody else as well. I think my highest rated Cardinal wideout is
David Johnson.
Well, as a wideout, you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah, I have Larry at 21 this week.
It's if there's any silver lining for those who have to play Cardinals, at least the 49ers pass defense is not good, and they've lost Navarro Bowman.
Yeah, pressure will not be as imminent there. All right, Latavius Murray is doubtful for week 5. He's going to try the toe out.
That escalated quickly.
Yeah, he's going to try it out in practice today, so I think this is a doubtful with a chance of recovery. But if he's out, I mean, doubtful is doubtful, right? So if he's out, you're looking at DeAndre Washington getting the nominal start and then Jalen Rashad being worked in as well. Last week, you saw both of these guys have kind of an issue. Jalen Rashad had drops on back-to-back plays. DeAndre Washington had a crucial fumble late in the game that let that slip away from Oakland, or nearly did, right?
Right.
And so both of those guys, last week we also had a report right before the game that they want to involve DeAndre Washington more. Here's your excuse, right? So you have a good matchup with San Diego. You have opportunities for both of these guys. I think DeAndre Washington, to me, assuming Murray is out, DeAndre Washington is a running back 2 candidate for me.
I love DeAndre Washington in this. He was, before the season, if you've been listening since the draft season, he's definitely been one of the guys I was highest up on. I got a little lower on him because of Jalen Rashad. You didn't have that clear cut. If Latavius Murray goes down, he's the 100% workhorse. But everything he's shown on the field is he's hyper efficient. He's running well. He catches the ball well. He's going up in such a great matchup, especially for pass catching running backs where he has excelled in college.
Well, last week we had the Coon attacked the New Orleans Saints for 3 touchdowns. The week before, Indy scored 2 on the ground against them. 31st ranked run defense. So definitely the guy I would start.
I'll say I think the upside is DeAndre Washington, but Rashad is seen as a third down back, and he has outsnapped Washington 3 of the 4 games so far.
Outsnapped, and yet DeAndre Washington has more touches.
I'm just saying that.
All right.
It's not an auto. He's a high-end guy.
We're hearing this morning the Bills are expected to re-sign free agent Karlos Williams.
Welcome back.
Who's now off of suspension. Does this mean he'll be worked in like he was last year? Is there a chance he gets back into that role and impacts LaShawn McCoy?
There's a chance. Jason's laughing over here.
Sorry, I'm laughing because while you guys were talking about this, I just wanted to see what the yards per carry was on Jalen Rashad, so I did a little quick math. It came out to 129 yards per carry, so I did something wrong there.
So, yeah, I think you're just a bit outside.
Continue.
So, yeah, let us know when you do the math.
He's really good.
I would start him.
Yeah.
Let me know when. Oh, we have a report this morning. Jim Bob Cooter said Golden Tate's going to have a huge week. Do you buy it?
No.
Okay. There are so many little injury reports that I was trying to decide whether we want them in today's show or we just want to do them in the in and out tomorrow. I mean, we're going to get through a few of them, but listen tomorrow for updates on kind of more final updates on all these players. We did have Tyler Eifert seemingly have a bit of a
new injury.
New injury?
Yeah, it's his back.
Okay.
Oh.
So is that all you have for us?
Yeah, it's being reported that he has injured his back in addition to the ankle. We don't know whether or not he'll play this week. It's looking doubtful that he will play, in my opinion. But they're still saying optimistic things, very reminiscent of Bruce Arians saying optimistic things about Carson Palmer.
Yeah, I don't think there's any way Eifert
The one
gets out
thing
there.
that history has shown us with Eifert is he's not a quick healer. I mean, he has
Sure.
a long history of injuries.
Rashad Jennings has a chance to play on Sunday.
Yeah, it's, I don't think he becomes a great start. This is more just for the people, if you were hoping, hey, I'm going to squeeze some points out of Darkwa or Perkins.
This is not a good situation.
No.
We're trending back towards four-man backfield with Rainey and Darkwa and Perkins flashing. They're going to work Perkins into the screen game, clearly. That's what he was in there for.
And this week, you've got the Green Bay Packers who are giving up
At
the
home.
fewest yards on the ground of all teams in the league, and they're giving up the second most yards through the air of all teams in the league. That says pass the ball.
Cam Newton's not practicing. You need to monitor him closely, make plans. We just don't know. He has the extra day with Monday night being the game they play. So Packers cornerback Sam Shields out
Is that confirmed?
for Week 5 against the Giants.
That's a fist pump for Odell Beckham.
Yes. It's a fist pump for that whole offense. That's
Yeah.
why I have Eli Manning quite high this week. Tight end rundown real quick. Jared Cook, 4 to 6 weeks. He's out. Eric Ebron, not expected to play. Zach Miller didn't practice. Kyle Rudolph didn't practice. Clive Walford didn't practice. And Antonio Gates was spotted at practice stretching.
That's
How
good.
long do you think that takes a guy at Gates' age? Longer?
To stretch?
Yeah. I mean, on a scale of 1 to Jason stretching.
Well, if you have not heard this story before, Foot Clan, Jason is literally he's on record. He's in Guinness, the book of records for being the least flexible human being on the planet.
Well, he actually does not stretch. Like when we used to play flag football games, he doesn't stretch, right?
I have never stretched before a game pretty much in my life. I mean, I've done a butterfly once or twice, but when I do, you can barely tell that I'm stretching because I am not a limber man.
Randy Moss didn't stretch.
Yeah, me and Randy, we have a lot in common.
Straight cash, homies.
Fantasy Forecast.
All right, the only Thursday night football update we have for you from yesterday's show is the fact that Palmer was declared out, and we've talked about that at length. A reminder that the Jaguars, Chiefs, Saints, and Seahawks are all on bye, so you should temper your point expectations from all of their players.
It's a good warning.
Very likely to be low. All right, let's get into the matchups. Let's start with the Washington Redskins traveling to Baltimore, taking on the Ravens. Ravens are favored at home, 45-point over-under, and a lot of storylines in this game. I mean, you have sometimes these teams that have very few fantasy-relevant players. I see this game and I say, wow, you have questions about the carry difference between Terrance West, Javorius Allen, and Kenneth Dixon making his debut. You have an incredible, with Matt Jones. If you look at Matt Jones, not only the insane stats you gave me yesterday about him being Pro Football Focus is number 1 ranked running back. If you look at the snap counts, you just look at, Robert Kelly gets nothing.
Correct.
This is Matt Jones' show, good
And
or
Thompson.
bad.
Jones and Thompson.
Yeah, and Thompson. But Thompson scored last week through the air, and he's a passing down guy. He'll get 3 or 4 carries a game. So let's start on the Baltimore side with the running backs. How do you see this breaking down, Mike? You are a Kenneth Dixon owner.
Yes.
What are you going to do this week? Tell me exactly, because I'm playing you.
I'm very unlikely to play Dixon this week. I think that Terrance West showed the team enough. He had a great game, 20-plus carries, over 100 yards, got a touchdown. So there's reports they're going to ease him in. Now, that everything could just do a complete 180 and Dixon could be the guy immediately. I just don't see it
Now,
working
Jim
out
Harbaugh
that
did
way.
not say – he came out to say that,
Right.
that Terrance West was not going to be declared the lead back, right?
Right. Yeah, but Terrance West will be the lead runner. But like I
Totally
said,
agree.
Terrance West is not pass catching is not his specialty, where Dixon excels at that. I think I had said on an earlier show, a very telling sign will be is Buck Allen actually active or not? He was inactive the first 2 weeks. If he goes back to inactive, then Dixon might be an okay flex play, but I'm not expecting a big game. I expect it to take a couple weeks.
Yeah, we've talked Dixon up a lot for a while, and so I think there's a lot of listeners who are excited to have him. You can't start him this week. It wouldn't shock me if he ended up having a productive game, but you can't. We haven't seen it yet. He's coming off of an injury. You can't start Kenneth Dixon. I think that would be foolish, and if you hit, it would be more of a lucky start.
Yeah, the Ravens are 5th against the run, 3rd against the pass. Is that right?
Yeah, the defense has been pretty strong as far as yardage.
That's yardage.
Yes.
Okay.
I know Carr tore him up with 4 touchdowns, but I think he had about 200 yards.
Okay,
Correct.
and the Ravens defense has allowed 20 or more yards on just 6 of 84 receptions this season, which ranks 1st in the league. That's only 7% of plays, which is basically half of the league average. So they're not giving up big plays, which is the forte of a guy like DeSean Jackson.
Right.
Well, now that
So-
being said,
So how do you that being said, DeSean Jackson owner, how do you see, a bad week from D-Jax last week on the road against a team that doesn't give it up deep? And with, good corners.
yeah, I think DeSean Jackson could do more than just get deep balls, but that's where you get those huge, giant blow-up games. This is from Scott Barrett, but over the last 3 weeks, Sharice Wright, the corner for the Ravens, he's given up 16 receptions, 205 yards, and 5 touchdowns to opposing wide receivers. Prior to this season, the second most fantasy points Wright ever allowed to an opposing wide receiver, DeSean Jackson. So if that's the matchup, I think D-Jax could go off this game.
Interesting.
That's fair.
All right. Are you starting either of the quarterbacks in this game?
I think Joe Flacco is still a fine streamer. He's at home, so you get better Flacco. Kirk Cousins, I'm not afraid to start him, but I would personally be looking for a better option.
Redskins 25th against the pass, leading to Mike saying that Flacco's an okay start here.
Right. So, and Jordan Reed's a must start every single week. I think Pitta is for the tight end selection out there. Pitta is a weekly starter for me as well.
Last week, Cousins was very good in the touchdown category, but the yards came down because they didn't need to use him. Matt Jones had a good game. Cousins, I think, was under 200 yards.
Right. And there was the rumblings of Joe Flacco is a little upset with the play calling that they are not going deep. If you look at his attempts, I think he threw the ball over 50 times and got just under 300 yards. I mean, that's your efficiency there is way down. They're not taking the shots with Mike Wallace where they connected early in week 1. So that's something to keep an eye out for. I'm not calling for a big game for Wallace, but it wouldn't shock me.
And start your Steve Smith senior.
Oh, of course.
Steve Smith, 8 catches the past 2 weeks, over under 8 catches in this game.
Ooh, over.
I'm gonna take
under.
the push.
Yeah.
I think he triples it. 888.
All right. Dennis Pitta slowed down. Do you
Little
start
bit.
him in this game?
Yeah, I'm compared to the tight ends who are out there. I mean, somehow if Ertz or maybe Cameron Brate, they're on your waiver wire, but otherwise I'll roll with Pitta.
All right. So we're talking Patriots-Browns now. Where is this game?
This game is in Cleveland, I believe.
Can you
I
confirm
will
that for me?
confirm that.
New England is at Cleveland, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we've got the Browns, obviously huge underdogs in this with Cody Kessler behind center and Tom Brady returning for the Patriots. They're 10.5-point underdogs, 46-point over-under. Is there hope on the Cleveland side of the ball playing at home, the efficiencies in the run game where the Patriots have been middle of the pack against the run? Give me the lay of the land on the Browns side of the ball.
I'm still playing Crowell. I think that he's still an RB2, that if the Browns have any sort of chance to win this game, they have to just wear out the clock. And the way they're going to do that is with Isaiah Crowell. Duke Johnson, maybe a sneakier start in PPR, but definitely not in standard. Pryor, I'm okay throwing Pryor out there. He just is involved so much, and there's still always the potential that maybe play some running back, maybe some quarterback. So I'd still throw him out there. Huge upside. Gary Barnidge is quietly getting his usage up. I think that people have not really paid attention. He's on waiver wires out there. Hey, you talk about a guy who would I play over Dennis Pitta? There's a name. Gary Barnidge. I'd pick him up off my wire and I'd play him.
Gary Barnidge or Cameron Brate?
Brate.
Ooh, that one will probably go Brate.
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Pryor this week.
I'm not.
If they're creative with him, which they weren't last week.
Right.
See, last week he got matched up with Norman a lot, and so with outside the touchdown, he wasn't very good. And I worry a little bit about Pryor. You saw Will Fuller on fire for this season, come in, face this Patriots defense, basically get shut down, and then come out and play well the next week. I worry a little bit about, Malcolm Butler being matched up against Pryor, the fact that the Patriots defense hasn't allowed a 40-plus yard gain to any of their opponents on 107 receptions, which is best in the league. I just don't know if the big play upside is there. It's hard for me to project a touchdown for Pryor in this game. Therefore, I don't know if I'd rather start him or somebody else.
The way that I look at Pryor is, New England's putting up points, right? They are going to, they're 10.5-point favorites. Tom Brady's back. They're going to have a massive lead, and I think you're going to need to throw the ball. I agree. The Malcolm Butler matchup is
They had to throw it last week, and they played against Washington. They were down by a lot. That's where I didn't see it manifest itself because he did not get behind center at quarterback, and he did not take Wildcat snaps last week.
Yeah, I guess I see him as a low-end wide receiver 2, which to me means you usually are going to start that guy. I'm less confident in Crowell
than you are. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, before we get into the remaining matchups
to the Patriots.
to the Patriots. Look, fellas, grave before shave is spectacular. My beard is growing, my beard is flowing.
Whoa.
And then a lot of that is in part to our good friends at Grave Before Shave. This morning, I grabbed my Gentleman's Blend bottle because they have so many scents. There's so many things to choose from.
I have the cigar on.
And this morning, I went with the Gentleman's Blend, the bourbon scent. I got the beer. It's looking, it's smelling, it's feeling incredible. You know how I keep my facial fresh and clean? I use Grave Before Shave beard wash.
Mike's beard endorsed.
As a bearded fella, I'm telling you, if you're using regular shampoo on your face, you're doing it wrong. Grave Before Shave, your beard, it will have never felt better. And they got the oils, they got the balms. You want a little bit of hold, they got the balms for you. The wash, I talked about it. And there's much, much more at Grave Before Shave. Get in on this free U.S. shipping, quick turnaround, so you're not just waiting by the mailbox.
GraveBeforeShave.com.
Like a chump, GraveBeforeShave.com. You use our code BALLERS, you're going to get 10% off. So I'm telling you, my fellow Viking Warriors, get over to GraveBeforeShave.com, use our code BALLERS, and you shall not be disappointed.
And we are going to talk about the Patriots. I heard a very funny Brady's back parody rap.
Eminem?
Yesterday. Yeah, the Eminem.
Guess
did you
Who's
see
Back?
that?
I did not.
Guess Who's Back? Brady's back. Before we do that, I do want to thank our other sponsor of this podcast today. We want to thank Texture. All right? Well, I want to tell you about Texture. Look, thank you to Pizza for helping us all binge eat. Thank you to Netflix for helping us all binge watch. But now, if you get involved with Texture, you can start binge reading. You need to trust us. This is going to be a thing. The Texture app allows you to tap into all of the world's most popular magazines anytime, anywhere, using your smartphone or tablet. You can breeze through hundreds of your favorites, including back issues, pick articles that interest you the most, and Texture makes it easy to find articles that you care about. Sometimes I'm reading a magazine, I can't control F, right? I can't find a physical, like if I'm looking for something in a magazine, I can't find it. You can do that with Texture. I don't just get to read ESPN or Popular Science or Wired. The Texture editorial team recommends content to me every single day so I can dive deeper with personalized collections. So you sign up for Texture right now, gain insider access to all the content from the world's best publications. And the best part, they're offering our listeners a free trial when you go to texture.com/footballers. You gain immediate entry to all of the top magazines, including back issues and bonus video content. So start binge reading for free right now when you go to texture.com/footballers. That's texture.com/footballers. Look, speaking of binging, I think the Patriots are going to binge on the scoreboard this week.
Yeah. Start your Patriots.
Start your Patriots.
Start James White.
Sign your Patriots.
Start LeGarrette Blount.
James White I have fairly high this week.
Start Julian Edelman.
Okay, but what about Gronk?
Gronk, you need to pump thy brakes. Pump the brakes. I wait until the last possible moment to rank him this week. I've done it the past 2 weeks. I've ranked him high the past 2 weeks, and I get it. It's Jacoby Brissett. But the routes he's been running, the limited amount of routes, the fact that they were desperate for points against their rival Buffalo. Last week, they scored nothing, and they didn't send him out on more passing routes. I'm pumping the brakes on Gronk until I see old Gronk.
Here's why I would start Gronk. Because 2 weeks ago, when he was even more hobbled than he is now, he played almost no snaps, and then they got near the goal line, and he came in, and they targeted him, and he was a giant monster of a man who was pretty much open, but Jacoby Brissett couldn't hit him. And when they get down there on the 5, which will happen a lot, I think, this game, I think they're going to bring him in, and Tom Brady's going to hit him and go, hey, Jacoby, that's what you do. He's got a giant target radius. Just throw it anywhere near him. I agree. You have to monitor it. You have to be careful. I would have a backup plan. I would certainly try to sign Martellus Bennett in case the news shifts poorly. But if they say, yeah, he's okay to go, he might be a little bit limited. You're smirking. Is there Gronk news? Gronk ruled out.
Well, this isn't a definitive report, but the Giants are prepared to bench or suspend Odell Beckham Jr. if his antics continue.
No, they aren't. No, they are not. Where did that come from? Is that
Bleacher Report?
That sounds like a Florio report.
It does, but it was important that I brought it up.
Where's the source?
Look, Mike, it's not about the source on this one. It's about Jason's face because I just traded him, Odell Beckham Jr.
I paid a lot to get Odell Beckham Jr.
Look, should owners be worried about that side of the equation? I've heard from I was talking to a friend of mine who's been around the game a long time. Says he doesn't feel like Odell Beckham Jr. is the kind of guy that translates bad emotion into good play on the field.
Oh, I think you can see that in the scoreboard. I mean, you look at the games where he's been least effective. They're the games that he's popped his lid off the most.
Popped it right off.
Yeah.
Look, he has he's had his issues. He says he's not having fun playing anymore.
You know what's going to make it more fun?
Hypothetically, Odell Beckham Jr. or Alshon Jeffrey this week.
Beckham.
I know.
It's
I'm just joking around.
Number 2.
I'm joking.
Okay.
Come on,
all
Mike.
Right.
Get into the game here.
No, I'm
Don't
not.
you understand? You're sitting here trying to analyze the report, and I'm trying to troll Jason, and you're doing nothing
I'm
to
trying
help.
to be a professional. That this report is garbage.
Have you seen? All right, never mind. We'll move on. I
Garbage.
digress. We're talking Eagles-Lions.
Oh, wait. So the Patriots-Browns, that's not your almost upset of the week?
Thanks, Mike.
Andy's almost upset of the week.
Patriots-Browns, you heard it first.
No. It's the Eagles-Lions, all right? The Lions are at home, but somehow I guess everybody is living in Winsylvania now because the Eagles are 3-point favorites in Detroit.
But Andy, Carson Wentz is the best quarterback that's ever played in the history of the league.
Well, according to the amount of fab spent on him in our league this week, he is. Carson Wentz, a report came out this morning that they might try working more runs.
That's dumb.
Drawn up runs because they're interested in injuring their franchise quarterback. No, Wentz is an athletic guy. I think when you say runs, you're talking about maybe what you saw from Ryan Tannehill a couple of years ago where some of the read option action really, safe stuff.
Yeah,
Safer
if you
stuff.
do some read option with a slide, I can get behind that.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. My almost upset of the week. I think the Lions can hold their own at home. I think you saw them struggle last week, and so the reaction is panic in the streets. But Stafford has been good outside of last week. You have a lot of weapons for him when it comes to Marvin Jones and Theo Riddick, and you're obviously struggling between the tackles. So I think you're going to see a lot of passing volume from Stafford. I think Tate can get back on track this week.
He could. I don't expect it.
I expect an okay game from that. I think you still got Bolden. Ebron's out. I mean, they're going to have to lean on Tate more if Ebron is out.
That's fair. I didn't factor in Ebron.
So, you guys on board with my almost upset?
Almost upset, maybe.
Are you almost on board with my almost upset?
Almost.
I could very easily see the Lions winning this game. If I had to pick a winner, I would probably pick the Eagles. I think their defense, I've been saying for a while, is underrated. I worry a little bit about a Marvin Jones trap game here. He's been so on fire that he's an automatic start, but we haven't really seen anybody carve up the Eagles cornerbacks group. And so, there's a little worry there, but it should be a close game.
Yeah, and so let's take a look at the Eagles' running backs. Ryan Matthews is practicing in full. Doug Peterson declared that he's healthy and he will remain the starter. So we have a disagreement in this office that are you still, Andy, that you think that Ryan Matthews will not touch the ball very much?
I don't think he gets 15 touches.
Okay.
I think I actually, since the way we do rankings in this office is we go through and we individualize and stat players. I
gave him
statted
14 touches.
I statted Ryan Matthews for 9 carries.
Ooh, that's
okay. So you're burying Ryan Matthews.
He is buried.
Okay, because nine carries, that's not a starter.
No.
Yeah, and that's where Mike brings up the disagreement.
I have 9 carries for Wendell Smallwood as well.
I'm on the complete other side of this. We saw before he had
the other side from me or Mike?
From you, in the sense that, I have the water bet with you. A couple weeks ago we saw him get 22 carries. He had been very good for the Eagles, productive, got important touchdowns when they needed it that were difficult to get. And then they're coming up against their bye week. His ankles were hurt, and Wendell Smallwood was running well. I think it was wise of them to shut him down in that game, give him 2 weeks of rest. Now coming back, the fact that he's saying he's the starter, I expect Ryan Matthews, like I said, to get 15 carries, and Smallwood will be involved as well. This is going to be a team that wants to run the ball a good amount.
We just disagree on this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, when he went 9 for 32, he saved that week.
With the awesome touchdowns.
With the 2 touchdowns on 9 for 32.
Yes.
And guess what happened after that game?
He's
injured. My starter. He's going to be my starter. He came out and said all the things he's saying this week.
That was an injury. That was the ankles.
What do you mean that was the ankles? He came in and said he's our starter.
Yeah,
and he got 2 carries.
And
you're saying that's because of the injuries.
That's right.
And I'm saying that Wendell Smallwood and Kenyon Barner, who was awesome, and Darren Sproles, who was awesome, I think you're a fool to play Ryan Matthews as a starter this week. I think it is. It's just.
That's the fun thing about fantasy football.
He
we
could
get
surprise
to
you,
find out.
but he hasn't done it since week 1.
I don't think it would be a surprise.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Lions are the 23rd.
Mike, are you in on this bet
run
then?
Defense for 15 touches?
Yeah.
I haven't statted for more than 15 carries, so
Okay.
I'll get in on it.
Yeah, I realize I don't have the button to push.
That's
here.
all right. I love Zach Ertz this week. I know it's his first week back, but we were talking about this in the office. They are coming off of a bye week, so hopefully there's been extra time for Ertz. And week 1, we saw that he was the number 2 passing option behind Jordan Matthews. So I like Jordan Matthews in this game as well, but I think Zach Ertz returns to being the number 2 guy, and so I think if you got him, he's a must play. If he's on your waiver wire, pick him up because he is a must play for me.
All right. Anything else from this game you guys want to discuss?
The running, we still don't have an update on Dwayne Washington. Really, I believe he's not practicing.
I don't think he's
going
to play.
Yeah, so you have Theo Riddick and Zach Zenner.
Zach Zenner is a speculative add to me this week, just because if you're in a deep league and you just need a body, I mean, Zach Zenner is the Matt Asiata of this equation here.
Sure.
Where maybe he is. I don't think Riddick's going to get it if they're on the 1. I think it'll be Zach Zenner to get into the end zone.
Probably. I can agree with that, but I don't really want to start either of these guys.
All right. The Lions are 23rd against the run this year, 21st against the pass. Did you guys discuss Jordan Matthews at all?
I just quickly had said that I like him a lot this week. Detroit's giving up 282 and 3 touchdowns per game through the air in 4 weeks. So the points will be scored by Carson Wentz and the pass catchers.
I guess sometimes you got to move on and talk Bears. And we're going to do that right now. Bears travel to Indianapolis, take on the Colts. Look, this is one of the higher over-unders of the week at 48 points. And it makes sense because you have an offense, obviously, with Luck and those wideouts that even when they lose, they find a way to garbage time a number of yards and scores. And you have a Bears offense that gets to face the Colts defense. Colts defense is 24th against the pass, 18th against the run. Very, very excited about Jordan Howard.
Yes, agree.
Hint, hint for a segment later on.
I completely agree with that. I'll throw out the nugget. Jordan Howard has rushed for 10 or more yards on 7 of 34 carries. I mean, that's spectacular production, while the Colts are just not stopping the run. We saw them last week where the T.J. Yeldon, who has been averaging 2.0 per carry, had a monster game because the Colts defense, the way they approach the run is the offense snaps the ball and they separate. like Moses has come in and said, this is how we're going to do it. Just split. We'll let him run for 8 yards, and then we'll try and tackle him.
Yeah,
Safeties are in charge of tackling their running back.
Yeah,
They're padding those tackle stats.
Yep.
3 of their 4 games, they've given up more than 100 yards rushing. I expect that it'll be 4 out of 5. And there's not a lot of competition for the ball right now with Jordan Howard, so I completely agree. I mean, look, the Colts, they've allowed first downs on 32.5% of their plays.
That's insane.
That's near the bottom of the league. That's great for a running back, right? You get those first downs, you keep grinding that game out.
Yeah, just more opportunities. You give up first down, so that guy's going to get it on first and second down.
And Kadeem Carey is listed as
Doubtful.
Oh, wait. That was last week.
And
Sorry.
then
it's every week.
you have Kevin White obviously gone.
Yeah.
And Eddie Royal has stepped up. I'm going to talk about him later. Hint, hint. I think he's a great play.
Look, Alshon Jeffrey from the target numbers, we talked about it yesterday. He's averaged like 9.8 for his career. He's only been in the 6s this year. Still averaging 79 yards a game. Just hasn't gotten to the end zone. So we'll see if he was limited in practice yesterday, which is his standard procedure.
It's Wednesday.
It's just a matter of, can he really get healthy? Because if he can't get healthy, he's going to have to come in and basically give you a few plays and hit on those. I mean, if he's healthy, it's a different story. So
for the Colts pass catchers, I think Hilton is a perfectly fine play. I don't know if I would fire up Dorsett. The Bears have actually had a pretty solid pass defense. I mean, they're not allowing a ton of yards through the air. So I have I know Luck is at home, but I have him, as far as Andrew Luck standards, I have him a little bit lower this week.
Yeah, Chicago has yet to have the opposing quarterback throw for 250 yards. They haven't given up 250 on the year. So even though the Bears defense has had a lot of injuries and they're really maligned publicly, they've done a pretty good job with their secondary.
Run defense is bad, so old man Frank Gore is still a fine.
Frank Gore is a great play here.
Gore has been so consistent. I mean, if you look at what Frank Gore has done and you look at what, let's say, Lamar Miller has done,
right?
They are very similar from a what you can expect on a weekly basis standpoint, where you just kind of solid, tried, true, a nice guy to have in your lineup, and he just keeps doing it. I mean, he's no John Kuhn. Hey, don't get me wrong.
There's only one John Kuhn.
There's only one John Kuhn, but yeah, Gore.
And he's the worst.
Gore this year is right around that. He's averaging a point more than Lamar Miller.
Note to self, always draft John Kuhn in best ball leagues. Okay, next year when I'm playing in an MFL 10, I am getting John Kuhn for a couple of those monster games.
Well, yeah, we hadn't seen this for a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
He's back.
It's true. He's back.
Okay, Brian Hoyer.
I like him. I continue to like Brian Hoyer.
Yeah,
I have Hoyer just outside my top 12.
He hasn't done anything to say that he's slowing down yet. Over 302 touchdowns, and then you have a great matchup again. No reason to bench Hoyer.
It stinks that Kevin White is out because he was clearly the favorite target, but I think Hoyer will get along just fine.
All right, new franchise traveling to Miami to take on the Dolphins. The DeMarco Murrays are in town. Do you see they updated their logo? It's just DeMarco Murray's face and snap. 3 carries last week for Henry?
Yep.
DeMarco Murray dominating targets.
Dominating everything.
Efficiency.
Life.
Number 1 running back. And I think
losses.
At this point, losses. Yeah. Well,
come on, Mike Muller.
See, Philly dominated losses, and DeMarco couldn't do anything.
That's true.
So and you don't normally see running backs outside of like an Adrian Peterson from years past be able to do it, always being down. But Marcus Mariota, I'm going to put him at top 5 most disappointing players this year. He is, because it's not just the fantasy side.
You had big expectations for him.
I expected him to take a step forward, and he's been turnover prone, bad throws, inaccurate, making mistakes, mental mistakes, things that I did not expect out of him.
Jameis Winston took a step forward. Marcus Mariota took 2 steps back.
Winston is not taking a step forward. He's taking a step back.
Well, Winston has taken a couple forward, but then he takes a couple back.
Yeah.
You're saying in this year?
Yeah.
If you had to tell me my
steps back.
that's where I was going.
Winston has been he's been Fitzpatrick levels of turnovers.
Yes.
I mean, he's just been.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he is.
I just wanted to get to the song.
With all due respect,
I agree.
Mariota doesn't get to throw to Mike Evans either. So
right.
So Tajay Sharp, he's been faded at this point. Kendall Wright. I mean, you can't start anybody other than Delaney Walker maybe and DeMarco Murray.
Yeah.
On that side of the ball.
I completely agree.
And now they're traveling to Miami. I fade everybody but DeMarco pretty much. Tannehill, Ajayi, Landry. The beat goes on for
hey, give me Landry. Give me Landry just about any game, any matchup.
Yes.
I'm fine with that.
I believe his catches this season are 7, 10, and 7.
That's
how many catches has he caught?
Oh, Jason, this is a question for you.
let me do some math. 197.
197 caught catches.
Yes.
Very impressive. Landry is the only guy that you're confident to start here. The Titans' defense has been pretty okay, especially against the pass, 12th in the league. They tend to keep these games to be a little lower scoring, and I think Vegas sees that as well with a 43.5 point over-under. Not high expectations.
No.
Wouldn't feel good starting Devontae Parker this week or Stills.
And I wouldn't feel good starting any of the Dolphins running backs. If Arian Foster is healthy and practices the rest of the week in full and gets a start, I would not feel confident starting him against the Titans.
Let's
and
say
anything
he doesn't.
less than that is worse. I think if Drake or Ajayi, you don't know, and you're not going to know until the game is over who is the guy there. Maybe you assume it's Ajayi, and if it is, maybe you're right, but it's in a bad matchup. I'm staying away from the Dolphins running backs.
Yeah, I have them currently ranked back-to-back, 27-28 this week.
If I have to play one of them, I would prefer to go with Ajayi. I mean, there was the report that Adam Gase has said, hey, guys, sorry about the 4 running backs. That doesn't work. It's never worked. It's never going to work.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I zeroed out Damian Williams this week.
I think I gave him no touches as well.
I think Damian Williams doesn't touch the field. I don't think Pede touches the field.
Yeah.
Good.
Which that's a at least a check mark for Ajayi, a small check mark.
Sure,
but it's there.
Yep. I think Drake's more explosive. Ajayi's going to have better odds at getting that touchdown. So one more matchup and then the starts of the week, fellas. So let's talk Texans. Let's talk Vikings. Look, I'll take the under. I'll take the under on the
40
on the 40 points. Yeah.
Ooh, that's bold.
Put me at 23-10.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Sure.
I think I'll take the under. The Vikings defense is decent.
They're all right.
No, they've been incredible, and
The Vikings are at home.
Yeah, they're at home,
in their
7-point
new dome.
favorites almost.
We have not seen the Houston Texans travel well. We haven't seen their offense really come.
Well, they overpack every time.
Yeah, that's a big mistake. You got to leave some of
They
those.
drive
extra
to the wrong
shoes.
hotel sometimes. Yeah.
So I'm not liking any of the Texans. I mean, I'm not in love with any of them. I guess I would still start Fuller, Hopkins, and Lamar Miller if I needed to in kind of that, third tier, that flex category. But I'm not loving any of them or expecting a big game for any of them.
I think that's a fair summary. I'm putting Ryan Griffin on the radar for people this week. When Osweiler is frightened and afraid, it was the Ryan Griffin show. I think they'll be losing. I think you're going to have an opportunity to the Vikings are going to give up the underneath passes like they did to Victor Cruz, who led the team last week, and Bobby Rainey underneath because they were – I see that scenario being the exact same this week. On the Minnesota side, I've been telling people to sell Diggs since he blew up. The volume's never there for Diggs.
Well,
the whole season, he can have these big games, but
I will say he's been fighting through groin injury, so I think that's really limited
he's
him.
also fought through being, slightly undersized for that number 1 type of wide receiver. Yeah. I saw him targeted a couple times and didn't quite, match up with Bradford last week. I think Rudolph is a guy that has a connection with Bradford.
Sure.
And I don't want to mind you, Diggs is going to have his good games. I'm just saying, yesterday I was talking to somebody, okay? And I was comparing Doug Baldwin with Stefon Diggs because the argument being made to me was that, look, Diggs is ranked the same as Baldwin right now.
In total points?
Sure. Yeah. Your fantasy ranked through 4 weeks because Diggs has had a couple big weeks. I'd rather have Baldwin all day, every day than I would Stefon Diggs. Do you guys disagree with that?
No, I completely agree with that.
100%.
The overall ranking, which is good when I'm trying to sell a player, and it is nonsense when someone's trying to sell me a player.
Darn right. Welcome to trading. All right, a little snat.
something's got to give.
Yeah, I was going to say a stat nugget from this game. Bradford has a passer rating of 105.5, which is third in the league.
Hey, Sammy Biscuits.
Texas defense has allowed the fourth worst passer rating. So something's got to give. I'm going to go with the home team.
Yeah, I would
I'm
personally
going to go with the home team. So I do think it will be the under, though. Any final thoughts, or can we move on?
Just real quick, I think Jerick McKinnon is still a fine play. The run defense for the Texans is not as strong as you would assume. In fact, they are 27th in allowing yards
He's
per
not
game.
my start of the week, but
If they're-
McKinnon is number 10 for me this week.
Yeah, if
That's
there
very
are
fair.
some of those tight ends on waivers that we mentioned earlier, the Cameron Brates, Zach Ertz, if he's available, I would play them over Kyle Rudolph this game. The Houston Texans have not given up 35 yards in a total in a game to the tight end position. That's against Travis Kelce, Zach
Okay.
Miller,
That's what I was
Delaney
gonna ask.
Walker.
Okay.
Those are all good
Some
tight
notable
ends.
guys. Yes.
All right, let's move on.
Starts of the week.
I love our starts of the week, especially when they're Steve Smith and he goes out and blows it up. All right, this week let's start at the tight end position. We'll work
Ooh.
backwards here. Tight end start of the week, Mike. Why don't you kick it off?
I'm going with the aforementioned Gary. Hey, remember me? Barnage?
Yeah.
He's coming off games of 5 for 66, 7 for 57. Nothing. He hasn't blown up yet. But since Cody Kessler has taken over, Barnage is getting regular usage, which is what you want out of a tight end. You got old Billy B coming in here being crafty with his defenses, and I think that could mean that the rookie has to go short to Gary Barnage even more than he normally would. So Andy was talking about scared Osweiler going to Griffin. I see scared Kessler going to Gary Barnage.
I think he's good for 6 catches in this game. I really do. I'm on board with you on that one. I'm going to give you mine. I'm going with Cameron Brate.
Yeah.
Cameron Brate. He's got a Monday Night Football game. He's going to be up against it. That offense is going to be up against it against Carolina. And I think this is going to be one of those scenarios where, look, Cameron Brate's been the number 2 wide receiver for that team. The pass catcher, number 2 pass catcher for that team. He has 5 catches in each of the last 2 weeks. He has 2 touchdowns between those weeks. And for me, seeing what they're doing with him without ASJ on the field anymore, where they're not splitting time, I mean, there was a lot of hype about Brate when it looked like ASJ would be down the depth chart. Now ASJ's gone, who, by the way, might play for New York this week. And
Really?
they could use a pass catcher too. But Cameron Brate, he's my start of the week at the tight end position. I just think you're going to see enough volume there to get it done. So, Jason, I know I disagree with you on yours, so go ahead.
Well,
Nice intro.
My tight end start of the week is the aforementioned Zach Ertz. I believe they held him out on purpose through the bye week. When you got a guy coming
You mean
up,
they didn't play him in the bye week?
I'm saying before the bye week, they weren't going to rush him back so that he could have the extra time to heal up through the bye week, come out strong. He's set to play week 1, like Mike said. He was 6 for 58. He was the number 2 target there. You've got a great matchup as well. Did you know that on the year, the Detroit Lions have yet to have a game where they haven't given a touchdown to the tight end? In fact, they've given up 6 touchdowns just to tight ends in 4 games. I think the matchup aligns. He should be safe if he doesn't get a touchdown because he's got volume, and I think there's a great chance of him getting a touchdown. The only worry here at all is, are they bringing him back slowly from injury and he's going to play half the snaps? Maybe that's your worry, Andy. If that happens, then sure. But I believe from everything that I've seen that he's just back and he's playing and he's starting. It's not the same situation as like a Tyler Eifert that's missed the whole offseason and preseason and camp, and now he needs to get brought back slowly. So I am fine starting Zach Ertz this week.
I love it. I have him top 3 as of right now.
All right, I'm going to give you guys my wide receiver start of the week now. I'm going to go with Amari Cooper. And this is a bit of a law of averages play. This is also the play where Jason Verrett is gone from the San Diego defense. Feel bad for him, but he's out for the season. He's a special talent. Amari Cooper is a special talent. I don't think you're going to see this balance of touchdowns where right now every touchdown at the wide receiver position has been Michael Crabtree. Derek Carr, number 3 quarterback. San Diego's defense has given up a lot through the air, and I think this is the week that Amari Cooper and Crabtree see success. But I'm going to make Cooper my start of the week, and if I had to choose between the two, I'm actually choosing Cooper this week.
Oh, very interesting. I'll jump in here. I'm staying in the fire with Steve Smith. Senor, Washington is very, very beatable. You have home Flacco. Like I said, is much better than road Flacco, and this is just a matter. Steve Smith has been ascending. You want players who are moving up. 11 targets the past 2 weeks. He showed that vintage Steve Smith. I got gasoline coming out my butt in furious anger when he threw that guy down and scampered.
I've never heard that described that way.
Well, you would be angry if it was happening to you, and that's why Steve Smith is very angry.
That's impressive.
But he had a great 50-yard touchdown. He's going to keep getting the targets, and he's clearly healthy.
Yeah, no, I think all three of us like Steve Smith.
He was
week.
very close to my start of the week. Number 7 in my rankings.
My wide receiver start of the week is almost more of a stream of the week. I went a lot deeper. I'm not talking about this guy being like, you've got to get him in your lineups, but I believe that Eddie Royal is a fine start this week because, look, you've got the Colts matchup, right? The Colts have been pretty decent against wide receivers despite their injuries to their secondary, but they're not the best, right? That's not a defense that really scares you. You have a kind of hobbled Alshon Jeffrey, and he's going to be matched up against Vontae Davis. So that means that in a high-scoring game, there's going to be a lot of passes to go around, and they're going to go to Eddie Royal, who last week had 7 for 111 and a touchdown. Currently on the year, he's the 19th ranked wide receiver. So he's gotten it done so far this year. I think in a high-scoring game without Kevin White, where Vontae Davis is on Alshon Jeffrey, Eddie Royal should put up some good numbers there. So if you're like, low on wide receiver, he's still available in a lot of leagues. I think you could pick him up and play him in that flex spot.
All right, Jason, why don't you move on to your running back?
Sure. My running back this week is LeGarrette Blount. And some people might, people have really different opinions on LeGarrette Blount. You might be going, well, of course you start LeGarrette Blount. He's a top back. But you might be smart and realizing, oh, Brady is coming back. LeGarrette Blount was kind of shut down last week. I'm not sure if now LeGarrette Blount's value is gone. Well, here's the deal. In this game, I think that LeGarrette Blount will be involved because whether or not it's just him destroying the soft, buttery run defense of the Cleveland Browns, or whether Brady just goes, full nuclear and destroys the Browns and then they just run the clock out for the second half. In either situation, I think LeGarrette Blount is going to be used. Last year you saw that when Brady was having a great year, you had so many games where LeGarrette Blount had 20-plus carries, and we forget about that. So good matchup. Plus you've got him. Vegas has them favored by more than 10 points, and when LeGarrette Blount is in those situations, he averages about 5 points more per game. Yeah,
I like it. Mike, why don't you give us your running back start of the week?
Well, if for the long-time listeners, you know that I regrettably had this man tattooed on my chest last year, but he's turning it around, and that is Jeremy Hill. The carries are going up every single week. I talked about the ascension with Steve Smith. This is what I like from Jeremy Hill. We're seeing a little bit of the flashes of rookie Jeremy Hill, not as indecisive back there, and over 20 carries last week. What the nice thing about Hill right now is he's not crapping your team. Well, last year we had several instances where he either gave you 1.5 points or he gave you 16 because he scored a bunch of touchdowns. He's giving you at least consistent production. There was even week 2 where he was shut down a little bit in the running game, but then he had 30 receiving yards. So Jeremy Hill has been much better overall on the year. I think that Dallas is beatable. We talked about this last week where Andy start of the week was Karlos Hyde because Dallas was while they're ranked kind of scary for fantasy, it's more of a fraudulent type of thing
for the run against the run.
Yeah, where Karlos Hyde had a fine game, so I think Jeremy Hill has a solid game as well.
I like that. I just want to add to that the carry counts for Jeremy Hill through this season. Week 1 was 9, then 11, then they gave him 17, then 21. They're ascending and they're shifting more towards that.
He'll be at 40 before you know it. Interesting question. Jonathan Stewart, Jeremy Hill, rest of the season.
Ooh, I'll take.
I think
Hill.
I'll take Jeremy Hill because he's playing.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
have 3 or 4 more weeks of
no
Stewart.
No, I think you'll see Stewart in the next couple weeks.
Well, the last report was
4 weeks total. That was the report.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my running back start of the week is Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard, we talked about him a little bit earlier last week, 23 for 111. Also had 3 catches. You've got no more Kevin White, who has been soaking up targets. So I think Howard is at least as involved in the passing game as he was last week. And oh, so beautiful, you get to play an Indianapolis run defense that, as Mike said, was like the Israelites cruising, or I guess they're more like the water the Israelites went through.
Yes, they are the Red Sea.
They are. And so, look, 29th ranked run defense. Jordan Howard is the man. All praises from John Fox. He didn't even try gamesmanship. He didn't even try to be like, well, Jordan Howard he's decent. He's got a long way to go. We're going to use a big backfield.
This is throwing up red flags for me.
Oh, no. Yeah, Howard doesn't see the field. No.
Just John Fox.
Yeah, well, Jordan Howard's
I'm
my
good.
start of the week. I love him this week. And my quarterback start of the week is Eli Manning at Green Bay. The world is sad about Eli Manning because, look, you have those guys out there 96% of the time, and you're not seeing production from Eli. But Green Bay is going to be the solution. Green Bay is a good offense at home, and you saw Matthew Stafford find volume. No Sam Shields. They gave up. Green Bay gave up 385 yards and 3 touchdowns to Matthew Stafford a couple of weeks ago, and I don't expect the Giants to win the game. I do expect Eli to pass the ball a lot, and so I like Eli Manning this week. He made my top 10.
I agree with that, and mine is, while it might sound a little more chalk, this is just the reassurance. Big Ben is at home. We know that Big Ben is a little flaky, a little bit inconsistent when it comes to fantasy football.
And people think the Jets are this great passing defense.
There's still that still exists out there. I mean, the involved and plugged in player knows that the Jets are just getting torched through the air. Their secondary is absolutely abysmal. But Big Ben, I got him at number 1 this week. I love it. I don't usually want to chase Big Ben's points because he can give you the 5 touchdowns and then the 0. But at home against the Jets, I think he is an absolute must start because he's my number 1 guy. So that's a must start.
Yeah,
my number 1 guy.
My number 1 guy. I like that. They're another team like the Packers where, a good run D, a bad passing D, and then you meet Big Ben at home. That's not going to work out well. I am going with Derek Carr this week. I'm going to stay in the Flames. Look, so far this year, he's averaging 2.25 touchdowns per game. You lose Latavius Murray, presumably, right? And so you might need to go a little bit more through the air. You have San Diego, who has already given up 2 touchdowns through the air in 3 of their 4 games, but that was with Jason Verrett, one of the best lockdown corners in the league, who already, had a part in shutting down Jeremy Maclin and shutting down Allen Robinson, and I think he shut down one other really good cornerback this year. He's gone, so he's out. Brandon Flowers might be out. You have, the Amari Cooper start of the week over there for Andy. I agree. I mean, the only worry here is that they get their touchdowns on the ground because you know that the Raiders are going to score plenty of points. Vegas has this line very high. This should not be a low-scoring game, which means if they can go through the air, Derek Carr will have a very good game.
All right, that does it for today's show. I want to remind everybody all of our rankings for week number 5 are up on the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. It's a great way to, you have those start-sit questions. You want to see where we as a consensus rank a player, or if you want to see where us individually rank a player, you can kind of see the gaps there. Check it out on the website. And today we also release our premium projections. So we have actual point projections for every single player, fantasy relevant player, as well as flex rankings, and those are both available exclusively to jointhefoot.com supporters.
And hey, shout out all the Foot Clan listening right now, the awesome Foot. Don't forget about our extra show happening today.
Yeah.
Right? We've got the Footcast going on over at Join the Foot. Get your questions in, and we will answer them on the show.
And thank you, studio sponsor, FantasyJocks.com, getting all your trophy needs with the promo code Footballers. See you tomorrow.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.